Now look, I want you to listen up, and I want you to listen up very, very closely, because this 2022 recession is the best chance at generational wealth that you will ever see. Here's the thing, people like you and I, we have some pretty good advantages that work in our favor during this specific recession. Actually, our advantages are pretty massive, if I'm being honest. And I guarantee that if you take heed of this advice, there'll be a large portion of you that will go on to be millionaires in the next few years. And I'm gonna come back to exactly what the advantages are in just a few minutes and how to best utilize them properly. But before that, I really just want to set the tone and set the stage by giving you this message. No matter who you are, I don't care if you're starting at absolute rock bottom. If you don't have $100,000 in your investment portfolio within the next 2 to 3 years, you only have yourself to blame with these current conditions. Now that is the bare minimum. For everyone else, the goal should be to add an extra 0 to your net worth. So if you've got $300,000 to your name in your investment portfolio or liquid, the goal should be $3 million within 3 years. If you've got $3 million, you should be aiming for $30 million. And in my situation, I'm trying to go from roughly 12 million after tax to 120 million by the year 2025. And by the way, that benchmark of adding an extra 0 to your liquid net worth, that is really only if you press in and you make the most of these two advantages. Now, recessions are very difficult periods for most people because they get hit on two sides. First of all, the value of their existing assets goes down. And then second, they suffer from things like job instability, or their income from their business goes down because, you know, they're just not making as much revenue. But for people like you and I, this is where our two advantages come in. The first advantage that people like you and I have is agility, and the second is contrarian knowledge. So let me explain. Now, the first advantage you have right now, which is agility, you probably don't even realize that it's an advantage. This is the ability to pivot. It's the ability to be mobile. It is the ability to be lean. Now, here's what I mean. The other people who are looking to succeed and come out on top during this recession, well, a lot of them have long-standing careers. A lot of them have jobs. And a lot of times these are in industries that really struggle during recessions. And these people are usually tied down geographically or tied down to, you know, the career that they've had a long time. And unfortunately, a job is not a plan 99% of the time unless you're, you know, truly with a very special company. I think having a job is a great thing if you're part of a company that, you know, really sees your value, pays you accordingly, you get good pay rises, and you're part of a great work culture. But that's 0.001% of companies, I'm just being honest. For the rest of you, your agility means that you can get into industries that other people with long-standing careers simply can't. Or there's a lot of people who are fighting through this recession that have, for example, brick and mortar businesses where they're dealing with stuff like supply chain issues, decreased revenue, and all of the other issues that come with sort of traditional businesses during a recession. But if you start an online cash flow business with low overheads and low startup costs, like I've been screaming at you guys to do over the last 5 years, you will set yourself up for success because you have the highest chance of succeeding while mitigating and lowering your risk as much as humanly possible. Now, the other benefit of having an online cash flow based business, which gives you a big competitive advantage, is basically you're location independent. And here's where this is pretty cool during a recession, because you can actually move somewhere. You know, you could go somewhere for 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. You can go to places like Cape Town. As many of you guys know, that's one of my favorites. I actually have a house out there where I spend a large portion of my year basically just to get away from the craziness of everything and really sort of focus. It's probably one of, if not the most beautiful places I've ever been to on earth. But you can go to places like Cape Town, Medellin. A lot of people, you know, go to Bali, which I personally don't recommend just because of time zones and stuff. It can just get a little difficult. And I've just found it's a little bit more of sort of like a laid back work culture. And the point is, while you're building up your businesses, you can actually reduce your expenses by 50%, 70%, I mean, even 90% by moving to these cities, which have a much, much lower cost of living. And a lot of times actually a better quality of life too. And if you move between some of these cities for the next year or 2 years, you can actually save a lot of money while you're growing your income. So this is what I mean when I say that being agile is a competitive advantage, not only in business, but the fact that geographically you can go anywhere you want in the world. Now, another really important thing to note during this recession is please do not start impractical businesses. For example, my software company, Agency Flow, that is a 10 out of 10 difficulty. That is a 10 out of 10 company to build in terms of skill set, and it takes a lot of upfront investment. So if you're starting out, don't try to start a business like that.